I'll say a few words about who we are and what we do, because not everybody here will know me. And what we did on the air quality directives for e-reporting. It was the first environmental domain that really used Inspire for reporting purposes. I'll discuss three different approaches to e-reporting and reflect a little bit on the process. We are sort of a permanent cooperation agreement between three regional environment agencies. In Belgium, everything except the North Sea is regionalized. So for national reporting, you need something like us to combine the regional data sets to one coherent report to send to the European level. But we do other things as well based on the data we get from the regional level, like continuous forecasts, which are used for smoke alert, and do real-time assessment of air quality and inform the public, and so forth and so forth. Also, the national focal point to the IONET is also now within our agency, and we also compile the greenhouse gas inventory for Belgium. Over the last years we got all our data into OGC services, and they are exposed via our website. They can be integrated in different forms to diverse users, and we also provide APIs to data which can be used by app developers and so forth. We are sort of in Michael's assessment, sort of more people that want to have one SDI which produces multiple encodings, multiple data for multiple users. Where we always make a clear distinction between real-time and validated data, because if you start mixing these two, can be a critical mistake. Provides both viewing services, downloading services in different encodings, and also static access to data. E-reporting. Let's maybe start with the functional definition. What does this actually mean? You need some machine-readable data encoding. That's probably the first thing everyone here would come up with if you want to pinpoint one thing. It's also about using a schema, so the commonly agreed schema for your data encoding, like the Inspire specifications you will know. I put the last thing in bracket because that's something Inspire people will always also understand here, is that you need to provide access to your data via a service, and that's something which was not really taken aboard, unfortunately, in the e-reporting process, or not entirely. I'll get back to that. With the revision of the provisions for reporting in 2011, the IPR, as we call it, the implementing provisions for reporting, in the preamble paragraph 7, they explicitly refer to Inspire. Of course, there is no such thing as an OGC reporting service. That's maybe something. Well, of course, you can use downloading services, but the preamble states Inspire as really being the means of reporting. So that's sorry, the box shifted a little bit. I don't know why, but something happened. And that's then of course the new addition with the new IPR that we use. There was an XML schema developed which needs to be used for all data flows concerned. So we are not talking about making data flows between the regional level and national level INSPIRE compliant, but no, rather encoding what is available at the national hub for transmission to the European level, where that step used to be done with Excel spreadsheets, and then the big advantage is, of course, that you can make a lot of mistakes copying and pasting data from Excel spreadsheets into some form which gets parsed into a database. So that was the primary use and necessity at the time. So from a schematic point of view, it's not as simple as only you might also have data which is not in a database yet. So you also need to somehow at times you need to be able to integrate other documents into other data into your schema for your e-report, and sometimes even manual input. The data flows involved, the colors of represent, they coincide with INSPIRE specifications, so the AM, the area management specifications, the EF, the environmental monitoring facilities specifications, AC, the atmospheric condition specifications. Those are the type of data sets being reported, whereas the light orange ones are actually without any geography in them, but the schema is INSPIRE compliant. Well, was made INSPIRE compliant. Let's put it that way. So, but yeah, it's already a little bit questionable. Of course, is it really worth it to use those type of XML schemas for reporting something like air quality plans, which are text blocks describing what you will do in an air quality zone? But in any case, it was done. There are many ways to skin a cat. Well, you can do it via custom scripts. You do your transformation via some PHP or Python script or something, and encode it into the XML structure which you need. There are custom desktop tools, web-based, ETL things, a bit more advanced. But yeah, you could also extend OGC services. And yeah, I mean, the different approaches have their strengths and weaknesses, of course. The ETL method is probably the most applicable, or generically applicable of these methods. But yeah, it cannot be used as such as a service. Custom scripts, yeah, they maybe require most specialized skill. You need someone with development capacities to be able to do that. Extending an OGC services is the most robust on long term, but yeah, it's again you need development to be able to fulfill. So let me say a couple of more things about the ETL way. You have some ETL tool. In this case, I use Hail as an example because it was at the time, in any case, certainly the best one for the purpose, because you could integrate both WFS download service data and make a direct connection to a database, or integrate shapefiles and so forth. So yeah, that is the general idea, combining different data inputs and transforming it to some coherent data set. Well, I'm not going to go into detail. Probably you already saw how an ETL tool looks like. But yeah, maybe something a little bit less known is that you can also use those type of tools to schedule some automated export of your data. So if you have a static data set which you need to make available via some service or via some download server, you could, or some repository, that could be done. But yeah, maybe the most interesting then of well, prospect. Well, I mean, I guess it's about maybe a year or 2 years old that this way was became possible that you use the app schema type of, or otherwise, there are a couple of servers that provide that functionality now, that you can use an app schema to provide your transformed data as a service. Degree and GeoServer can be used that way with Hail, of course. But okay, so that's the one way. Then there was air quality. That's maybe a little bit different to some to other environmental domains. We have quite a lot of time series based data, and that's of course something a bit more difficult, a bit more involved, a bit more specialized to provide. So initially in Inspire, SOS was not part of the downloading services. Well, there were a couple of added elements necessary. That work was also done in, to make SOS fully, to have have implementations which are fully Inspire compliant meanwhile, and then on top of the Inspire compliancy, there were a couple of IPR-specific elements added. In the general implementation of SOS, you only have one timestamp, where the e-reporting wanted two timestamps, starting time and an end time of every measurement. It also wanted to add a couple of elements like a validation and a verification flag, where that clearly could have been done with one flag, because with one digit you can express many different combinations of validity and verification. But there were some metadata elements added to the header element. But yeah, so that part has been covered. So together with a couple of other member countries who need to implement these reporting obligations, we extended an open source version implementation of SOS to be able to cater for e-reporting. Where then that SOS can be either queried as generic SOS output, what you would expect, or otherwise AQD for data compliant with the air quality directive reporting obligations. Just for reference, some documentation to this, should anyone be interested. But in August 2016, a smog alert, and so this is the data viewer from the European level. You see, well, for people who know where Belgium is, it's there. It's what we already knew. That was not what I was interested in, of course. Well, today we have another smoke episode in Belgium, well, the summer smoke, high ozone levels. It's still the same story. It's okay if you go a couple of hours back. It always takes about 4 or 5 hours but that's something. It's just not up to date enough. And to be honest, the situation is worse than before we did the e-reporting, where then we had most of the time more recent data available via a non-standardized, non-standardized viewer. Just back then we transmitted the data via CSV files, and this was just very clean data, just a timestamp and a value and a pollutant code, and that was it. And their system is just constantly, the system at the EEA level is just constantly crashing because the data volume is just too big to handle. So yeah, if you get data from a network, like all the combined report from Germany, for example, yeah, you have more than 150 stations, let's say 5 pollutants per station. It creates a huge XML file, and so then this happens. Whereas you have this one Chinese guy that does the whole world. he scrapes data from different websites and just throws them into a database and makes them available. It makes his own index, which is does not totally not coincide with what we do in Europe. But in any case, the data is there. We have access to that, so it's often more convenient. So where did we go wrong? And, I mean, I don't want to. Well, it's not necessarily a purely Inspire issue. There was also, of course, the guidance document, which added a lot of extra complexity. It's so to summarize, okay, the complexity of the guidance document, as I mentioned, but something that was, to my mind, also a bit of a okay. Inspire viewing services are certainly very performant. Also for complex and big data sets, it depends on, of course, how you expose them, but it's they are fast enough to cater for sensible views of your data. But of course, it's pre-rendered. It's not the pure data. But the downloading services for big data sets at the moment, I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done. I think, or at least some alternatives maybe to consider, some new technological evolutions to consider. So even if the guidance document would have been a bit more sensible, and between us, well, the guidance document was apparently written by someone within the commission that after finishing that document left for something else, so was not confronted with the impact of actually implementing all those requirements. But okay, so we are implementing that, and of course, if there is a guidance document, you cannot just change it. It's a difficult political process. But if from the start one would have considered the possibility of thinking in terms of and trying to sort of the distinction between viewing services and downloading services and the whole system architecture is to my mind, as someone from outside the Inspire process, an interesting way to go about implementing a spatial data infrastructure. Another very interesting thing about Inspire is certainly the legislative part. It's something very convincing when we approach within our hierarchy the people that need to cater for the funds for implementation and so forth. We can say, okay, e-reporting, Inspire, open data, okay, you get your money and you can do your implementation. So in that sense, I mean, that is also part of Inspire, of course. It's a process. It's something. It's an obligation for member countries. It's something to advance in development, in establishing spatial infrastructures. So that's certainly an interesting part. At the moment, downloading services are just not efficient enough for big data sets, and so we need to face that, and it cannot be only sort of an additional burden to become Inspire compliant. No, we need to have some really efficient services, I would say. But a big missed opportunity with an e-reporting was that the concept of having services was not taken on board from the start, and that makes has a big impact on how member countries go about implementing e-reporting, because they will not think in terms of, okay, we need to establish services. No, they will think in terms of, okay, we need to encode our data in that format, and then we need to put it somewhere on that server. And but then no one else has access to real-time data, for example. To my mind, the availability to data is still much more important than having full interoperability, which in many cases is not really an issue, because it's easy to transform data from one encoding to the next. The access to data is much more important. But there was always the argument that sort of a pull instead of a push mechanism of reporting is impossible from a legal perspective, because you need to sign off on your report. You need someone within the hierarchy to say, this is our report, at some timestamp, and okay, we delivered our data, and so it was not taken aboard. So that is in essence, well, I think most of the things I listed here are more or less have already been mentioned. So just by ways of summary, are there any questions?